What if a river could hold the voices of the dead? What if someone spent their whole life listening? Deep in the American Midwest, an old man sat by a river that no one dared to go near. The people of Red Hollow whispered about it. The River of Lost Souls, a place where the past never rests. Every evening, old man Silas would sit on the riverbank, waiting, listening for something. Then one fateful night, the storm came, and Silas made a choice that would change everything. What happened to him? And why did the river fall silent after he vanished? Stay till the end to uncover the mystery of the River of Lost Souls. And if you love chilling folk tales and unforgettable legends, subscribe to Tale Story House for more. Hit the like button, share this story, and turn on notifications so you never miss an adventure. In the heart of the American Midwest, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, there was a town called Red Hollow. It was a quiet place, known for its golden wheat fields, its wooden barns, and the railroad that ran straight through its center. But beyond the town, past the winding dirt roads and the whispering pines, lay something far older than Red Hollow itself. The River of Lost Souls. No one in town dared to go near it. The river had been there long before the town was built, long before the first settlers arrived. It was said that the water ran dark and deep, and that at night, strange voices echoed from its banks. Some believed it was cursed, others called it a place of forgotten spirits. Either way, the people of Red Hollow stayed far away, except for one man. At the edge of town, in a small wooden cabin, lived Old Man Silas. He was a man of few words, his face weathered like an ancient oak, his silver hair tangled from the wind. Some said he was older than the town itself. Others whispered that he knew secrets no one else did. But one thing was certain: every evening, just before the sun dipped below the hills, Old Man Silas walked to the river. He would sit on a fallen log near the water, his old fishing rod resting in his hands, and stare at the river as if he were listening to something only he could hear. The townsfolk thought he was crazy. No one dared ask what he was waiting for, and no one dared to follow him. Until one boy did. One autumn evening, a young boy named Tommy Carter was playing near the woods when he saw Old Man Silas heading toward the river. Tommy had always been curious about the old man. Why did he go to the river every night? What was he looking for? So, staying low and quiet, Tommy followed. Through the trees, he watched as Silas sat on his usual log, his fishing rod resting in the water. But he wasn't fishing. He was waiting. The river moved slowly, its surface smooth like black glass. A faint mist curled above it, twisting in the dying light. Then the air changed. The wind stopped. The leaves on the trees stood still. The world felt frozen, like time itself had paused. And then Tommy heard it, a soft whisper, floating over the water. A voice, but not quite human. It was distant, like a memory carried by the wind. Tommy's heart pounded. He wanted to run, but his legs refused to move. Old Man Silas, however, did not flinch. He simply nodded, as if he had been expecting it. He dipped his hand into the river, and for a moment, the water glowed, not brightly, but just enough to send ripples of light across the surface. Then, as suddenly as it had come, the whisper faded. The wind returned. The trees swayed once more. The night was normal again. Tommy ran home as fast as he could. That night, Tommy couldn't sleep. He couldn't forget what he had seen. He had to know the truth. The next day, he told his grandfather what had happened. His grandfather, Henry Carter, was the oldest man in town, aside from Silas. When Tommy mentioned the river, Henry's face went pale. And then he told him the story. Long ago, before Red Hollow was even built, there was a great flood. The river, once calm and shallow, rose in fury, swallowing everything in its path. The water raged for 3 days and 3 nights, taking homes, animals, and lives with it. When the flood finally receded, the land was changed forever. But something had stayed behind, the souls of those who had been lost. The River of Lost Souls was not just a name. It was a place where the dead lingered, unable to find their way. Some said they were searching for their families. Others believed they were trapped, bound to the water by something unseen. But there was one man who listened, one man who never turned his back on them. Old Man Silas. Silas had once been a young man with a family of his own, but during the Great Flood, he had lost them all, his wife, his daughter, his home. He had been the only one to survive. While others moved on, rebuilt, and forgot, Silas never did. He stayed, waiting by the river, listening for the voices of those who had been lost. As the years passed, most people in Red Hollow ignored the river's legend, but the whispers never stopped. And one day, the river changed again. The autumn rains came early that year. For weeks, heavy storms battered Red Hollow, and the river swelled. By the time October arrived, the water was rising higher than it had in decades. The land grew soft, the roads turned to mud, and the sky remained gray and heavy. Then one evening, a powerful storm rolled in, fiercer than any before. The wind howled like a living thing, rain poured in thick sheets, and the river roared with a terrible hunger. The people of Red Hollow rushed to higher ground, fearing that history was about to repeat itself. But one man did not leave, Old Man Silas. As the river raged, he stood on its banks, his old fishing rod stuck in the ground beside him. The water lashed at his feet, cold and relentless. But he did not move, because the voices had returned. They were louder now, rising above the storm, calling to him. And as the rain poured down, Old Man Silas finally understood. They weren't trapped. They were waiting for him. When the storm finally passed, the people of Red Hollow emerged to find their town soaked but still standing. The flood had not taken them, but Old Man Silas was gone. His cabin was empty, his fishing rod missing. The townsfolk searched the riverbanks, the forests, and the hills, but they found nothing. It was as if he had simply vanished, except for one thing. Near the water's edge, right where he had always sat, there was a single set of footprints leading into the river. They did not return, and from that day on, the whispers ceased. The river of lost souls fell silent. Years passed, and the legend of Old Man Silas became part of Red Hollow's history. Some said he had finally found peace, reuniting with his lost family beyond the river's veil. Others believed he had become something else, a guardian, watching over the souls who had once been trapped. But one thing was certain: the river of lost souls no longer called for the living. It no longer carried the restless whispers of those who had been taken, because he had taken their place. Even now, on quiet autumn nights, when the wind is just right and the river moves like glass, some say you can see him, an old man standing at the water's edge, fishing rod in hand, watching, waiting, listening. And if you listen closely, you might hear the river whisper back. The tale of Old Man Silas teaches us that some burdens are not meant to be carried alone. He never turned away from those who were lost, and in the end, he gave himself so that others could move on. The river of lost souls reminds us that we must honor the past but not be trapped by it. The people of Red Hollow rebuilt their town, yet Silas remained behind, unable to let go. It was only when he finally crossed over that peace was restored. And so, the legend of Silas and the river lives on, a story of sacrifice, remembrance, and the courage to face what others fear. Because sometimes, the greatest journey isn't about finding something new. It's about knowing when to let go. But what do you think? Was Silas truly gone, or did he become something more, a guardian of the river forever? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love mysterious folk tales, eerie legends, and powerful storytelling, subscribe to Tale Story House for more. Don't forget to like, share, and turn on notifications so you never miss an incredible story. Until next time, listen carefully because some whispers never fade.